Okay, welcome back to Lasso, Thailand. It is Friday, September 18th. Isn't it crazy to be saying that? How is the word September coming out of my mouth? Seems crazy, so much time has passed. Didn't all this start back in February? Anyway, the dust has settled from my visa extension adventures, and I got my under consideration stamp, and I go back to immigration in 2 weeks to, in theory, pick up my official visa extension stamp for 30 days. So the dust from that has settled, and today, well, I'm hungry, so it's time for lunch. I'm not sure what I'm going to have for lunch. I'm always in the mood for borderline, of course, and I almost want to go back there to have their pumpkin soup. I've been dreaming about their pumpkin soup lately. I had it once or twice in the last couple of weeks, and it's just so tasty. But I think today, if I come across a place that looks interesting, I'm just gonna pop into a local restaurant and have a simple lunch there. There are a bunch of places here on the main street that I've walked by, and I haven't gotten around to having a meal there. So I think I'm gonna walk along the main street towards Borderline and then just look at some of the restaurants around me, and if I see a place that looks appealing, friendly, and people are sitting there having a casual lunch, I'll pop in and try one of those places out. So that's the plan. In the past, when I've gone walking towards Borderline, I've always been on the right side of the street. I don't know why, I guess just because my guest house is over there on the right side. But today, just to make things incredibly exciting and fun, I'm going to walk down the left side of the street and see if from the left side the world looks any different. So at least behind me, you'll be able to see slightly different shops than you've seen in the past when I walk on the right side. Here's a place that I've noticed every time I've gone by. I've never seen a customer go in or out, and I've never seen anyone wearing anything like this in Lasso, but if you're in the mood for tie-dye designs, there you are. Moving right along. And it's interesting that just by choosing a different side of the street, even your normal world looks different, because I'm normally walking down there beside this DHL outlet, and I'm underneath this overhanging roof. And today, for the first time, I've noticed all of these apartments up above it. This whole part of the street here seems to consist of nothing but regular single family home apartments. Check that out. I don't see any people, I just see pigeons, but I assume they're all occupied and people live up there. Continuing on. And just up ahead here is a new coffee shop. It was actually completely built and opened, during my time here in Lasso, called Aunties Coffee. And it's always looked interesting to me, but I've never seen anyone in here having a coffee yet. And I haven't gone in yet either. But try it at some point. And here is one of my favorite shops. This is where I bought my cooking pot several months ago, and I've made many meals with that pot ever since. One thing I always think about with all these shops in Lasso and in Thailand in general is that they put all of those items for sale out, and here too in this hardware store, out on the sidewalk every day. And of course, when they close at night, all of the stuff has to be picked up and carried inside again. So here, this household goods shop, everything outside. Yeah, every day to open, they have to bring all this stuff out. And then at the end of the day, yeah, they have to bring it all back in again. A lot of work opening and closing every day. one other thing, of course, about walking anywhere in Mae Sot or in Thailand or anywhere in Asia really, is navigating the side of the street. So going on this side, I have to wind my way through a whole new set of obstacles. It's quite rare to have a sidewalk and you can just walk down the sidewalk. That's a very rare experience. So I constantly have to go around these vehicles. Like the back end of this truck, I sort of have to dart out into traffic and get around it and time it so that I don't get hit. Another fancy coffee shop and cake shop. I haven't had coffee there either, at least not yet. I pointed this out the last time I walked by, but I'll do it again because I think it's worth repeating, that this place, the Sleep Nest Hostel, which caters to foreign backpackers for the most part, they finally had to give up. They just couldn't stay in business any longer because they don't have any guests anymore. So the place is now for rent and it's not open. And it kind of has a knock-on effect because this restaurant across the street, the Bifern, is a fairly well-known spot for the expat community in Mae Sot. I've never eaten there either, by the way. Mainly because I've never seen anyone sitting inside, so I never had the courage to go in. But they used to get a lot of their customers staying here at the Travelers Hostel, and of course they would just walk right across the street and go to Bifern to have a meal or a drink, a cup of coffee. But of course, because the hostel is closed, they don't have any customers either. Yeah, it's really getting bad. I don't know what it is about me and timing, but I always seem to pick the wrong day to do anything. I don't know what's going on. Today's a Friday, should be a normal day, but everything seems to be closed again. This happens to me all the time in Thailand. All those shops are closed. All the restaurants that I was thinking about, the local ones, they're over there behind me. They're all closed. There's nobody there. All these shops are closed. So, yeah, I'm already at borderline. It's over here on my right. But I haven't seen a single little shop where I could have something to eat. And I thought I could have a few snacks as well. But for whatever reason, all the snack places are closed as well. So what in the world is going on? There's nothing special about today, I don't think. There's this spot right here on the corner, and they make a lot of, special juices and snacks. And I walk by it all the time. And today, closed. So, another mystery to be solved. I can either just head into Borderline, or I can keep walking and look for another spot. I'll walk for a little bit longer, see what I come across. Going by the local Mae Sot traffic police. They're right here at a corner where the main road switches from one-way to two-way. Aha! One of the places I was thinking about appears to be open. It's this spot right here on the corner. I've noticed it because it is quite nearby Braverly. Right up there on the right is the Braverly Cafe. And across the street is a fancy local coffee shop called Bite Me. And when I've gone to Braverly and walked up and down, this is also the route to Tesco. So I've gone to Tesco a number of times. And then there's this spot here. So let's see if I can grab some lunch here. course, it's always a bit of a effort to figure out how to order or what to order. But perhaps I can just get an assortment of a whole bunch of things. This looks good. Kind of vegetables. Some noodles. Some other noodles there. And this looks maybe like eggplant. I haven't had eggplant for a while. So maybe I can get some rice and then add in a whole bunch of other things. Let's see. Oh, got some rice. That's good. And I have some of that. Oh, yes, some of this too. Maybe some of this. Okay, that was very successful. I'll show you my my bowl of food in some nice light right here. So basically rice and then 3 veggie dishes with some tofu. Looks really delicious. Nice and warm. Okay, time to try my lunch. I'm not even entirely sure that I'm in the frame or not. I kind of had to set the GoPro up in a weird spot. And this got me thinking that if you're paying attention to camera news, you've probably seen that the new GoPro Hero 9 has been released, or it's been announced anyway. I don't know if it's for sale yet. But the big deal about the Hero 9 is that it has a little screen on the front so that when you can see yourself, you know, when you're holding the camera, you can actually see it and you can frame things up. And my Hero 7 doesn't have that, so I sometimes have to guess what it is I'm actually filming. And it usually works out okay because it's such a widescreen image, but that GoPro Hero 9 does look very nice. Though, to be honest, I don't have a real reason to buy it. You know, this Hero 7 works amazingly well for me. I love it. Anyway, time for lunch. We got some of the rice. Nice and warm. That's the key thing. Oh, this meal, by the way, rice and 3 veggie dishes cost 40 baht. Which is like, what? I've lost track of the exchange rate, but, you know, it's a little bit over $1 US, I guess, for lunch. Got some tofu. Tastes good. Mushrooms. And this, I don't know what it is. I thought it was eggplant, but getting a closer look at it, I don't think it is. Could be, but I think it's something else. Quite spicy, that one. And then some sort of an orange squash kind of thing. Very good. But yeah, these are my favorite places to eat. In terms of shooting video, I've only been shooting video at places like, you know, Borderline and the Mogul restaurant, and places like that, which are kind of more of interest to expats or foreigners, I guess. But I really love simple meals like this, especially if it is arranged like a buffet and you don't need language skills to order. You just point, you know, have some of this, some of this, some of this, and then when you're done, they tell you how much it costs. You know, that's a great great place. I love these places. So I'm going to settle in with my book and enjoy my meal. This is my most recent book, by the way. Bel Canto by Anne Patchett. I know this author from her other books. So far, it's a very unusual story. I'm only about that far into it. But the whole book seems to be based on one hostage-taking incident in some South American country. So far, she's never identified the country, but from everything I've read, it feels like it's supposed to be Peru. And a very famous opera singer was performing at the birthday party of a multi-millionaire businessman from Japan, and the president of the country was supposed to show up, so a bunch of terrorists took everybody at this dinner hostage because they wanted to kidnap the president, but the president didn't show up. So now we've got this situation where all these foreigners are being held hostage by these local terrorists, and I think the whole book chronicles the 1 or 2 days where this incident took place. So yeah, it's a very unusual book. I'm enjoying it quite a bit. So, time to have lunch. Okay, that was lunch. Very tasty. I like that a lot. If I had to say whether I'd go back there again or not, I would definitely go back. If I lived in this neighborhood, like closer to this area, I'd probably have lunch there practically every day. One thing about these restaurants overseas is that the first time you go in is always a little bit stressful because you don't know the system. How do you order? How do you pay? How much do you pay? All these little details you don't know, so you have to overcome a little bit of hesitancy to go in for the first time. And in this case, I noticed that after she had put all the food I selected into the rice bowl, I got out my wallet and I paid her right then and there. And she seemed a little bit confused about what I was doing because she handed me the food and then I put the food down so I could get out my wallet, and she kind of looked at me like, what, you don't like the food? Like, I just gave it to you, why are you putting it down? Because I was getting my money out. And then I noticed that other customers, when they finished their meal at the table, then they would get up and they would pay as they were leaving. So I guess that's the normal system at this restaurant. But since it was my first time there, I didn't know what the system was. Though, to be honest, I probably wouldn't do it that way anyway, because when you're leaving, your bowl is empty, your plate is empty. How do they know what you had? I figure it makes a lot more sense to pay when you order, and they can see all the food, and then they know how much to charge you. I must have walked right by it without thinking, because this restaurant right here, that's the one I was planning to go to. Maybe it was closed when I walked by, but it's open now. So maybe tomorrow or sometime next week I'll come back and I'll have lunch at that restaurant there. That was the one I was thinking about the whole time. Maybe it was open and I didn't even notice. So that was the book I'm reading, El Canto, which I assume is some kind of an opera term. In terms of television, I'm very excited by the new HBO show, Raised by Wolves. I saw a little bit of a trailer for it weeks ago. I mean, I literally saw about 2 seconds of the trailer, And I instantly turned off the trailer because I knew it was a show I wanted to watch just from those 2 seconds. And I didn't want to spoil anything about the show. So it is now been released. And I won't give anything away about the show, but it is a science fiction story involving androids, artificial intelligence, distant planets and spaceships, all that kind of thing. But it is a very thoughtful show, very hard science, like hard science fiction, in terms of the themes and that kind of thing. The first 2 episodes were directed by Ridley Scott, who of course is famous for Blade Runner and Gladiator and the Alien franchise. He's all about androids. And it was written by Aaron Guzikowski, someone like that. And he appears to have written the whole series. And I really like that, instead of having different episodes written by different people. Because if it's all the creation of one person, you know, one person's vision, you get a much more coherent, much more thoughtful story in general. So, as far as I can tell, all of the episodes were written by this Guzikowski guy. And I know a little bit about him. He wrote and maybe directed, maybe just wrote the movie Prisoners, which I actually thought was quite good. So I had some confidence. I didn't know of him as a science fiction person, but I was willing to give Raised by Wolves a chance. And let me tell you, the first episode blew my mind. It really did. So much happened in the first episode. It was astonishing. Everything was introduced all at once. All of the ideas, all of the themes, all of the characters, and the action in it was unbelievable. The action just built and built and built and built and built. The first episode was pretty much a movie all by itself. And when I watched it, I kind of felt this wasn't a good idea, because for me, everything in that first episode, it could have been stretched out over a whole season. It almost came at me too fast. I didn't have enough time to really appreciate what I was seeing. I think they could have revealed all of this information over an entire season of television, and it still wouldn't have been too slow. You know, I would have found that quite enjoyable. But I think what happens these days with the streaming services is that they really need to hook their audience right away. So they can't start shows slowly anymore. It's really hard to have a slow burn. The very first episode has to be gangbusters to hook their audience and make sure everybody comes back for the next episode. And I don't like that. As I said, I would prefer it if they went more slowly. I don't need to be hooked. I'm not that kind of a viewer. If I find anything interesting about a show, I will stick with it all the way to the end regardless. I'm going to watch it. So you don't have to put in so much in the first episode that I'm addicted to it. You just have to give me a little bit, and then I will keep watching. But anyway, that first episode, yeah, it just blew my mind. So much happened in it. It was so crazy. I was just amazed that they put so much plot into one episode of the show. And the very first episode, it would be like the finale of any other show. And this was the very first one. So that's Raised by Wolves. It's up to episode 7 already. And on the negative side, I'm a little bit worried because they're introducing some mystical elements, weird things happening that have no explanation at all. And I'm worried that they're going to go the Lost route or the Leftovers or some Damon Lindelof travesty where they just have all this crazy stuff happen and it ends up not meaning anything. But I don't know, I have some faith in the writer. I think all these weird mystical elements, we're going to find out eventually that they have a basis in hard science. that all these things that are happening are actually based in the nature of this planet and an ancient civilization that used to exist on this planet. I'm hoping they're going to tie those together, but we'll see. Anyway, I'm at a 7-Eleven here, and I'm just going to pop in and buy some milk. And there's something in the 7-Eleven I want to show you, because all this time everybody's been taking your temperature with these thermometer guns, you know, pointing them at your head. And they always have to have a staff person standing at the door of every business, you know, standing there to let customers in and take their temperature as they come in. And 7-Eleven got to work, and they came up with a new system so that they don't have to have anyone standing there all this time. I'll show you what it is. So they still have the foot pedal for cleaning your hands. Gotta let go of the camera while I do that. And here's the gizmo that I was talking about. They have a new system where you just put your hand in front, and then it takes a temperature reading right from your hand. Let's do that again. 36.5 degrees. That's kind of cool. That's it for my 7-Eleven visit. Funny thing is that when I was living in Taiwan, in Taipei, I went to 7-Eleven there quite a bit, and they always had these promotions where they gave you stickers, usually for children, Disney stickers or magnets or all kinds of things that you can peel and paste, and then you can collect them and get the whole set and things like that. And I'm kind of nothing but a big kid at heart, so I loved collecting all these things and trying to get the complete set. And here in 7-Eleven recently, they seem to have this program going on. You get these stickers, all kind of Disney stickers. There's Donald Duck and Mickey Mouse, and they appear to be playing football. And I have no idea what they're for. I'm collecting all these stickers, and I guess I could be winning prizes or getting bonus items or doing something, but I have no idea what it's all about. So I just stick them in my wallet, and then they stay there. All of my Mickey Mouse stickers. I got caught again by the weird system here. I was thinking that in order to celebrate the getting of my 30-day visa extension, which I'm quite happy about, I thought I would reward myself perhaps with a small bottle of Red Label scotch. So I'm at 7-Eleven, and on impulse I looked behind the counter, and they had some whiskeys there and some Red Label scotch, which I quite like. And I says, oh yeah, that'll be nice. Reward myself for all that hard work getting the visa extension. So I asked for a little bottle of Red Label, and they almost handed it to me. But then they remembered this is midday. It's between 2 and 3 in the afternoon right now, and they're not allowed to sell any alcohol at this time of the day during the midday period. For whatever reason, there's a rule or a law that they can't sell alcohol in any form, beer or whiskey or anything else. So I was going to reward myself with some scotch, and then I wasn't able to. And I keep looking for a neighborhood shop here, a local mom and pop store that sells things like whiskey, but I've never been able to find one. I've kept my eyes open, but I've only ever seen liquor at 7-Eleven so far, at least not in this neighborhood. Just for fun, I'm going to go down this street. I've walked by it so many times, and I've looked down it, but I've never gone up here to see whether it leads anywhere or whether there's anything interesting back here. Dogs, of course. Looks like it just goes into private property. And there's nowhere to go. Oh well. No. Okay, that wasn't much of an adventure. Nowhere to go down this street. Another show that I've been watching lately is the TV series 12 Monkeys. And this, of course, is because I've been watching so many shows about time travel and time loops lately. So I was looking up all these shows about time travel, and I saw 12 Monkeys. It's based on the famous Terry Gilliam movie. And I remembered watching it. You know, I'd seen this show. So I kind of dismissed it. But then I thought, well, just for fun, let's download, let's get the first season and sort of refresh my memory about what the first season was all about. And then I realized I had only seen the first 2 episodes of the first season. So I thought I'd seen all of 12 Monkeys. I think there's like 5 seasons or something like that. But it turns out I haven't seen it at all. So I happily settled in to watch 12 Monkeys. And I was quite pleased by the first season. It was also very apropos because it's about time travel, but it's also about a pandemic, a virus that essentially wipes out the entire human race, except for a few survivors. It essentially wipes out billions and billions of people. So, given our current situation, it's kind of interesting to watch a TV show based on that same thing. And time travel in the first season. So I enjoyed that quite a bit. And then, unfortunately for me, in the second season, it kind of shifted gears. It still featured time travel, and it still featured a viral epidemic that wiped out the human race. But it really wasn't about that anymore. Those were just things that happened in the show, and the show actually became about something else entirely. And then things started to get a little bit weird, a little bit loose in terms of the plotting and the logic, and I didn't find it quite as compelling anymore once I got into the second season. But I'm still enjoying it, so I will probably hang in there and finish the entire 12 Monkeys series. Getting close to my guest house again after lunch. A couple other shows that I've been watching, 2 of my favorites. I mentioned it before, a comedy called Ted Lasso. I find that to be such an entertaining show. Great characters, really sharp. The humor in it I find very sharp. Every scene in it is like a little gem. I find the writing to be so good in Ted Lasso. So that's one of my favorites right now. And I'm keeping up with the second season of The Boys. That is being released, I think, week by week, a new episode comes out. And of course, the first season of The Boys kind of took the world by storm. It was almost a new type of superhero concept. Very interesting, very extreme, very exciting. So it was a lot of fun, the first season of The Boys. And the second season is keeping that up. But I guess maybe because the idea behind The Boys, the concept that makes it unique, we're now familiar with it from the first season. So for me anyway, it's not having the same impact as the first season did. But as soon as I kind of as soon as I changed my expectations for season 2, I started to enjoy it quite a bit more. Almost as much, as I enjoyed season 1. Yeah, The Boys. Yeah, it's a very good show. And I think that is about it for today. I really just wanted to take you along with me as I went out for a more regular lunch here in Mesot. But I did make the effort to have this regular lunch at a new place that I hadn't been to before. Make it interesting for me and maybe for you as well. And I've also had this idea that in the future I want to have a bunch of lunches here at the bus station. I've walked by all these very simple noodle shops scattered around the perimeter of the bus station market. And over the next little while, I think I'm going to come here to this place. I'll show you what I'm looking at. This big building here, and there's a market on the other side, and there's some like simple noodle shops around the edges, and I think I'm going to try to have some lunches over here someday. But for now, I'm gonna head back to my guest house and enjoy the feeling of having a 30-day extension for Thailand. That's it for today. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video.